People are stupid. They'll buy anything, says Fraser McKnight, British former world number one who beat Novak Djokovic in 2 Grand Slam finals. Just one thing though. Who is Fraser McKnight? I'm not gonna lie, this has to be one of the weirdest weeks I've seen in tennis. Well, sort of. Lots of questions, hardly any answers. From the 5 ongoing tournaments, to all the drama off the court, and to the crazy reality show that we saw on the tour, here's everything that happened in tennis last week.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
So Holger Rune retires in his semi-final match against Borna Coric in Montpellier due to an arm injury, which only adds to his ongoing problems. In the other semi-final fixture, we see Felix Auger-Aliassime lose to Sasha Bublik, while Linz Open top seed Jelena Ostapenko and second seed Ekaterina Alexandrova both win their semi-final encounter. But the main action of the day happened off the court. We saw Naomi Osaka have some fun in the sands of Abu Dhabi, which was quite refreshing. We also saw Juan Carlos Ferrero back training with Carlos Alcaraz. You could tell that Carlitos really missed JCF at the Australian Open, particularly in the quarterfinal when he had no solutions against Sasha Zverev. But the highlight for me was hearing about Stefanos Tsitsipas' goals for 2024, which are winning a Grand Slam and an Olympic medal. Now, no offense, Tsitsipas is a great player and a top dog anytime. He's so good that he's managed to be a top 5 player despite having a really poor backhand. Also, it's always good to set the bar high on our dreams. But to be fair, I don't see Tsitsipas winning a Grand Slam this year. Maybe an Olympic gold medal in doubles with his brother Petros, but it's not very likely to happen in single. Well, if my opinion ages like milk, so be it, but what are your thoughts about Tsitsipas smashing those goals this year? Okay, let's see what Sunday brings. Sunday came with a weird history, thanks to one man. Alexander Bublik became the first man to win an ATP title after losing the first set in every match. Up 2 breaks against Borna Coric in the first set of the final, Bublik somehow found a way to lose the set so that he could come back and win the next 2 in the place where he won his very first title. It would be a 4th career ATP trophy for Bublik. Now, we all know that Bublik is insanely talented, but also unpredictable. Seeing him actually put in a lot of effort throughout the tournament leaves you wondering how far he could go if he had this attitude every time. On the women's side, Jelena Ostapenko beat Ekaterina Alexandrova in straight sets to clinch her 2nd title of the year. Ostapenko needed just 70 minutes to get rid of Alexandrova, who managed to only win 5 games. I think this is going to be a really great year for Ostapenko as long as she stays healthy. Moving over to Thailand, we saw 19-year-old unseeded player Diana Schneider capture her first title on the WTA Tour after beating defending champion Zhu Lin 6-3, 2-6, 6-1 in the final. Schneider, who hadn't won a match all year coming to Thailand, had to take out 3 seeds en route to the title in an unexpected turn of events. Schneider's title run saw her jump up 35 spots in the rankings and back into the top 75 overall. Off the court, Elena Rybakina and her sister Anna went on a ride at Ferrari World, while Arina Sabalenka and Paula Badosa reunited again. Football club AC Milan owner Jerry Cardinale revealed that he had actually considered hiring Novak Djokovic as the team's mental coach a few months ago to help players who were struggling at the time. We all know Novak's mental strength is world-class, but hypothetically speaking, how do you think he would have fared on the job? It's possible we'll get to answer that question in the future when he retires. But for now, we have some work on our hands, some counting to do. So on Monday, we head over to Marseille, where a couple of big names are looking to pick up some ATP points. Richard Gasquet gets dumped by Roberto Bautista Agut in his opening match. In Cordoba, Francisco Cerundolo is the top seed and joined by defending champion Sebastian Baez, Tomas Martin Echeverry, Daniel Altmaier, Yannick Hanfmann, Sebastian Offner, and a couple other guys. Other tournaments get underway with Emma Raducanu winning her opening match in Abu Dhabi in straight sets. Not much to talk about here. But I had trouble understanding a couple of things when the news of a 6-king slam popped up in Riyadh. Who are those 6 kings? Djokovic, Nadal, Alcaraz, Sinner, Medvedev, and Rune? They're probably kings because they've all won slams, are the best players in the world, and have a sizable fan base. All of them. Well, except Holger Rune. Interesting addition there. So how did Holger Rune make it to this list, and why not another slam winner like, well, we still got Sir Andy and Wawrinka. And if they're not too old or not as good, why Rune over Zverev, for instance? Those were my thoughts, and like I said, I've got no answers, but if you do, please feel free to share. Format and specific dates of the tournament will be announced later, so I guess we'll find out more in the coming months. Daniil Medvedev then withdrew from Rotterdam due to fatigue and a right foot injury following an incredibly tough Australian Open final run that saw him spend more than 24 hours on the court. Such a shame he won't be able to defend the ATP 500 title he won last year. Speedy recovery, sir. Elsewhere, Carlos Alcaraz's new commercial for BMW hit the headlines, and I thought it was pretty dope. But then we saw an old clip of of Novak Djokovic doing karaoke. It was quite hilarious. Later on, his coach Goran Ivanisevic would straighten things out, stating that the Joker was healthy, but things just didn't quite work out in his match against Sinner. I believe we can put the matter to bed now and move on to other things like what happened on Tuesday. Where do we start? Ben Shelton casually dunking at the American Airlines Center, home of the Dallas Mavericks. Or former world number 1 Ash Barty stating that motherhood is better than any of her Grand Slam titles. We shouldn't even be comparing slams to motherhood in the first place. We could also talk about Boris Becker resigning as Holger Rune's coach. Someone said Rune is gradually becoming the Emma Raducanu of the ATP Tour, but without a slam. It's the kind of opinion you might get when 4 coaches leave your team all within 6 months. This guy literally had an all-star coaching team, but he now has to go back to the drawing board. Rune probably needs to accept losses better and find a solution with his mother. Overzealous parents have always been an issue in our sport, but it's beginning to look like Rune might just be a difficult player to coach. Another theory is that he might be demanding too much from established professional coaches and doesn't have the patience to improve and work on himself. Talking about coaching problems, Jessica Pegula also split with her coach, David Witt, who said that it came as a shock to him. He talked about his friendship with the American and how far they had come together. Before Witt, Pegula had not won any titles, but would then go from outside the top 75 to being a top 10 player with a career-high world number 3, winning several titles in the process. Elsewhere, it was Naomi Osaka talking about how much having her daughter Shai has helped her separate wins and losses from her self-worth. Personally, I think Naomi Osaka is getting more comfortable being herself and opening up. Good for her. But not so good for Ayla Tomljanovic, who will be out of competition for a few weeks after undergoing a procedure to have some uterine fibroids removed. Tomljanovic once dated Nick Kyrgios from 2015 to 2017, before dating Italian tennis star Matteo Berrettini from 2019 to 2022. While we wish Ayla a speedy recovery, let's talk about what Andy Roddick had to say on a rather sensitive issue. Okay, so Andy believes that the WTA needs to lay out conditions for Saudi Arabia before they commit to them in order to protect the players. Now, it's no secret that the country is interested in tennis, but women's rights, morals, ethics, and other socioeconomic factors are what many people are worried about. Here's what Andy Roddick said.
As you're saying, devil's in the details and homosexuality is illegal, but we have openly gay players. Kasatkina came out last year. Now, if she goes there and play, are we just telling her to take a week off of her sexuality? I mean, how do we protect our own players who are, their life choices are viewed as criminal when they enter this place? Is like, how do we protect those mechanisms? And can whatever is said now be trusted when it's actually in practice?
So what if we said, you know what, we're really thrilled, we're flattered by your interest, we think this could be a win-win, here's what we need to see before we move our tour there. We have openly gay players.
But as usual, I'd like to know your take on the whole situation. It's still Tuesday, and we've not even talked about what happened on the court. Anyway, here's a quick recap. Andy Murray lost yet again in the opening round in Marseille, and here's what his 2024 is looking like at the moment. Murray then says that no amount of losses will change what he's achieved, and he'll play challengers if necessary, but he won't give up on doing what he loves. And despite totaling 17 aces and playing well at times, Denis Shapovalov couldn't get past Hugo Gaston. The Dallas Open gets underway with Chris Eubanks getting a W in his opener, and Danielle Collins then beats Naomi Osaka in Abu Dhabi. Tuesday was a heck of a day, but it was nothing compared to what we were about to see on Wednesday. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to our weekly newsletter, make sure to check it out at the link in the description. It's the spot to catch up on all the latest tennis action and engage more with the amazing Tennis Plus community. Plus, I'm making a video soon on the hottest takes of the 2024 tennis season, and I'm asking you to be a part of it. So share your thoughts with me by clicking the link in the newsletter. I'll see you over there. The ATP Tour made a splash with their insane reality show. The acting from the players was better than anything I've seen on the ATP media, and whoever came up with the genius idea definitely needs a raise, because we were stuck with Netflix, who couldn't do better than painting Daniil Medvedev as the villain. Now, I work in the production space, and I think that tennis will benefit from stuff like this in terms of marketing the players and events. I really hope that it spins into something larger. Back on the court, we saw Ben Shelton win 36 of 39 points on his serve to beat Mo 6-3, 6-3, while Eubanks was upset by James Duckworth in the round of 16. Meanwhile, top seed Francisco Cerundolo was upset in Cordoba by Jaime Munar in the round of 16 as well. Top seed Karen Khachanov, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and Emil Ruusuvuori all had straightforward wins in Marseille. On the women's side, Raducanu was beaten by her idol Ons Jabeur, but seeing Maria Sakkari lose again was quite disturbing. Although she lost to a worthy opponent in Sorana Cirstea, who's actually had 5 top 10 wins in the last 12 months, also beating the likes of Sabalenka and Rybakina, we all expected a little better from the number 3 seed. Sakkari needs to change something. Her mindset, coaching, or what? Because at this point, it appears she's losing to just about everyone. Elsewhere, Beatriz Haddad-Maia played the longest match of 2024 against Magda Linette. The match lasted 3 hours and 43 minutes. Off the court, we see Big Foe making an impact. TFO hosted a youth clinic at SMU ahead of the Dallas Open, but not before tennis legend Andre Agassi reminded everyone that pickleball is here to stay. Holger Rune's mother then stepped down from being his press manager before we saw Simona Halep arrive to court in Lausanne to appeal a 4-year doping ban. Innocent? Cheat player? I find Halep's story to be a tragic one. We can only wish her the best and hope that she gets back on her feet soon. Medvedev and Zverev are to join Carlos Alcaraz in Team Europe. Not like many people actually care about the Laver Cup, but it would be interesting to see both Medi and Zverev on the same side for Team Europe, considering their relationship. I'm also happy that it's a much better lineup for Team Europe than the one we saw last year. The Laver Cup takes place in Berlin this year, so it's not a surprise to see Zverev playing in his country. But a different kind of show continues for Felix Auger-Aliassime. The number 7 seed FAA lost to Zhang Jinyan in Marseille, and honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. But if you are, we just uploaded a video on Felix, and it talks about every single thing you wanted to know, and why he hasn't been the same player that he was in 2022. Go check it out. Meanwhile, Dimitrov and Hurkacz both won their matches to book a quarterfinal ticket in Marseille. Seb Ofner saw a surprising loss in Cordoba. On the women's side, Elena Rybakina came from a set down to beat Danielle Collins in Abu Dhabi, while Barbara Krejcikova and Samsonova both won their matches as well. Karolina Pliskova and Clara Tauson won their matches in Cluj-Napoca, but the number 2 seed Tatiana Maria barely showed up, losing 6-love, 6-1 in the round of 16. Off the court, Jen Brady underwent surgery for her knee today. Truth is that Brady had so many setbacks these last couple years, and personally, I think she's way too talented to keep being sidelined, so hopefully this is the start of a new phase for her. Talking about injuries, someone on the men's side gave us some updates. Matteo Berrettini shared a few details about his recovery, letting everyone know that although he isn't 100%, he's a lot better than before. He also reveals that he'll be using the energy from the miracle that his compatriot Jannik Sinner performed in Melbourne for his own tennis. Sounds like a plan. Hopefully he also works on his backhand along the way. Not even the end of the week yet, and there's been a lot to talk about. It's Friday and we can't keep calm because many stars are returning to the court. Y'all better be ready. Iga arrives in Doha after a couple of practice sessions earlier in the week. Alina Svitolina is also back in the gym and is scheduled to play in Qatar next week as well. Remember, she got injured in Australia and it didn't look pretty. We're happy to see her back. And then we have the one and only Rafa Nadal, who continues to ramp up preparations for his return in Doha. Gosh, I wish my swimming was as perfect as Rafa's. Anyway, the draw was announced in Rotterdam today, and we now know that Jannik Sinner will face the Dutchman Botic van de Zandschulp in the first round. Daniil Medvedev is still recovering and won't be in Rotterdam. Sinner will be the top seed and will be looking to leapfrog Medvedev in the ATP rankings in the coming weeks, seeing that Medi has a lot of points to defend from his insane title run that saw him win 4 out of 5 tournaments this time last year. Sinner will have Hubie Hurkacz as a potential semi-final opponent. We have second seed and 2021 champion Andrei Rublev, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and Alex de Minaur all in the bottom half of the draw there. The draw for the first WTA 1000 of the season is out in Doha. Swiatek will be bidding to become the first player to win a tournament in 3 consecutive years after Serena Williams won Miami from 2013 to 2015. But she'll have to go through an ultra-aggressive Yelena Ostapenko in her quarter. Ons Jabeur and Maria Sakkari anchor the second quarter, while Coco Gauff, Elena Rybakina, and Zheng Qinwen and Marketa Vondrushova are the top seeds in the bottom half of the draw. Who do you see winning the title? Back on the court, we see Hubert Hurkacz get a straightforward win over a dangerous opponent in Thomas Mahak, and he's now 2 wins away from defending his title in Marseille. Grigor Dimitrov and Karen Khachanov both win their matches in Marseille as expected, and are joined by Ugo Humbert to complete the semi-final lineup. Meanwhile, Federico Coria upsets number 3 seed Tomas Martin Echeverry in Cordoba thanks to some clinical serving, while Sebastian Baez rallies from a set down to continue his title defense. Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe both win their matches in Dallas. On the women's side in Abu Dhabi, Beatriz Haddad-Maia gets the better of Ons Jabeur, who was struggling physically and even teary-eyed in the second set. It's not something that any of us want to see, but we hope she'll be alright, whatever the problem is. Bia will face the 7th seed Dasha Kasatkina in the semifinal. Rybakina wins her quarterfinal match to set up a semifinal clash against Lyudmila Samsonova, an opponent whom she has never beaten despite having played her 4 times. One of those weird stats you sometimes come across in tennis. But wow, what a week so far in tennis. So much has happened, and I feel like things are going to ramp up even more in the coming weeks. And if you missed out on last week's recap, don't worry because I have it showing on the screen right here for you.